Hello, happy Sabbath. My name is Danabelle David and today I will be talking about the pistol shrimp. You have probably heard about it before, but if you haven't, we're going to learn about it today. So this is the pistol shrimp. It is also known as the snapping shrimp or the alpide shrimp. And they are found in temperate and tropical marine and coastal waters, and they are known for digging burrows and living in coral reefs, oyster reefs and seagrass flats. They live in colonies and are a major source of noise in the ocean, competing with the beluga whale and the sperm whale, which is absolutely fascinating because they're only 3 to 5 centimeters long, which means they're about this small. So let's find out how and why they make so much noise. The pistol shrimp have a special claw on one hand, which is bigger in size than their own body, and a small pincer on the other hand, while regular shrimp have pincers on both hands. This claw is unique to the pistol shrimp because of its snapping mechanism, which they use for hunting and communication. The claw has a pistol-like feature. As you can see in this picture, the hammer of the claw opens, allowing water to come into the chamber, and when the hammer snaps shut, it forces the water out in a jet with such force that it creates a cavitation bubble 4 centimeters from the claw. This cavitation bubble travels at 100 kilometers per hour, having a pressure of 80 kilopascals, which is enough to kill small fish. And all of this happens in less than 1 millisecond. This cavitation bubble has a temperature which reaches over 8000 Kelvin or 7700 degrees Celsius, which is higher than the temperature of the sun, which is at 5772 Kelvin or 5500 degrees Celsius. And I personally think that that's crazy. So now we know that the snap is why they cause so much noise. One snap, even though it occurs during a very short period of time, it reaches over 218 decibels, which is actually louder than an actual gunshot, which is 350 decibels. And this is obviously enough to stun its prey. So this snap is so loud, it produces light, and this phenomenon is called sonoluminescence. In fact, it is so loud that it can break glass. So if you think of having it as a pet, unfortunately you can't because it is bound to break your aquarium. Pistol shrimp practice symbiosis. Symbiosis in its simple terms means when two species live together in harmony and peace, each benefiting and helping each other out in one way or the other. Symbiosis is a process that is actually very rare in ocean species. The pistol shrimp have a symbiotic relationship with the goby fish. The goby fish have really good eyesight, whereas the pistol shrimp have really bad eyesight. So the pistol shrimp digs burrows for the goby fish and they live together, and the goby fish warns the pistol shrimp of potential dangers and predators. Okay, so what are some things that we can learn from the pistol shrimp and apply to our lives? As I mentioned before, the pistol shrimp are a major source of noise in the ocean. Sometimes they make so much noise that they actually interfere with sonar and underwater communication. So, what are some things that interfere between the communication between us and God? I'm sure there are a lot of things that take away our attention from God. Titus chapter 2 verse 12 says, "Denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously and godly in this present world." Living in the current world, especially with all its distractions and still maintaining a proper constant communion with God is not easy. So we must think of what are the things that prevent us from maintaining a constant connection with God, and we must think how we can get rid of those things so that we will be constantly walking with Him, with God each and every day. Okay, so just as the pistol shrimp waits and lurks in its burrow for prey to come by so that it can stun it and kill it, even so, 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8 says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." This shows that even Satan is looking out for us, lurking for us, and looking for a way to trap us. We should be careful, we should be watchful, and we should be in close connection with God so that we will not fall into his traps. If you actually think about it, the unique feature of the pistol shrimp is its claw. because it uses it for defense and for communication, and without the claw it is actually pretty useless or pretty defenseless if you think about it. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 11 to 13 says, "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand." This shows us that we are defenseless without God. God has given us the armor. God has given us His word to use against the devil. So when we have such an opportunity and a privilege, we must take advantage of it and claim God's promises so that we won't be defenseless in this world and we have our own special claw. Earlier on, I mentioned that the pistol shrimp and the goby fish have a symbiotic relationship where they help each other out and have each other's back. In the same way, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 11 says, "Encourage one another and build each other up." Ephesians chapter 4 verse 31 and 32 says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice, and be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you." Romans chapter 12 verse 18 says, "If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men." If two different species can live together in harmony and peace, I'm sure we as human beings can also live together in peace and harmony with God's help. As much as possible, let us try to avoid strife and contrition against our neighbors. And let us try to love one another as God has showed us how to love. And last but not the least, even though the pistol shrimp is really tiny, it is so powerful and has a noisy impact in ocean life. In the same way, even though we may seem that we are really small, we can actually make a huge impact with God's help in other people's lives. John chapter 15 verse 5 says, "I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing." 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 27 and 28 says, "But God had chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God had chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And base things of the world and the things which are despised hath God chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are." Same way, even if you think you are small and insignificant and a nobody or weak or foolish or base, God can still use you for fulfilling His purpose. God has promised us time and time again that He will be there for us and He will give us the power that we need. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And Jeremiah chapter 32 verse 27 says, "Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?" So I hope that we will learn to claim God's promises so that He can use us for greater things to fulfill His purpose and His will in our lives. I hope you all learned something today and that this was a blessing for you. Thank you.